Hi, everybody. I'm Deacon Dave.
I'm Layperson Lisa.
Welcome to the Deacon Dave and Layperson Lisa show.
From Gihon.
Gihon.
Daycare.
Gihon.
Rest day.
Rest day, which we only walked 5.5 miles now that we went to
Oh,
the...
yes.
So we're going to do 5.5 miles.
So we are at the 307-ish.
Yeah.
308.3.
Yeah, and we have about 210 miles to go. Today was a rest day, and Lisa and I have just finished devouring...
Delicious donut.
Yeah, with chocolate on the bottom and chocolate on the inside, and it was fresh.
Yes, and it was like, it had like the chocolate was pumped in like in two spots. So it wasn't one of those
Mine only had one spot.
Oh, never mind.
Typical of you to take the one that has two spots.
I didn't know. We didn't even know if it was actually filled with anything because there was no holes.
But it was good.
But it was so delicious.
Really good.
One of the best donuts.
Yes, that we've had here. It's the only donut we've had here.
Yes. Oh, we tried the local cuisine.
We tried the local cuisine.
We tried the local cuisine today.
What did he say it was like? A ham and cheese and what was it called?
Ham, cheese, and beef.
Cordon bleu.
Yeah, it was
breaded.
Flat. The ends were very delicious.
Had some squid.
Oh, yeah, it was a little
Had some
chewy.
fresh cod.
Was that what it was?
Lightly battered.
Okay.
I thought it was
okay.
good. I had like three of
I thought
them.
it was a little fishy.
I didn't think so at all.
Really? That was mild?
That's the first fish I've had since I've been here.
Okay.
So it was pretty good.
Okay.
We looked for shoes today, but unsuccessfully.
They don't go past like a size 11 in shoe stores here.
And 13 is not big enough for me. I need like at least 13 and a half.
Oh, because you had to. Did we talk about your surgery, your toe surgery?
I don't know. We had Nurse Lisa and Dr. Debbie working on my toe.
We might have talked about that yesterday.
We might have, so we won't bother them with
Right.
the details. Lisa didn't have gloves, so she was very unsanitary.
But I had my hair net and my mask.
I know. It was so funny when you walked into the room. And it's like, okay, Nurse Lisa is here. We're ready to go.
Yes.
But today was a nice rest day. We did spend time looking for shoes with no success.
Right.
Debbie went and got a few things for people back home that are taking care of things. Please know that we are praying for you. And had a conversation with someone today at breakfast who is in our group. And he shared a story about his daughter and actually showed us a YouTube video of him and his daughter. Oh, actually his daughter.
It was her giving a witness a testimony,
talk.
Yeah.
Right, so he was divorced and he did not see his daughter for 33 years. And she was very angry and very mad. And she went to some weekend program. I think she said it was supposed to be about money.
Yeah, she thought her biggest concern was going to be money, and she realized the first day that she could care less about the money.
It was about her dad and how hurt she was by her dad. And she did a beautiful job of describing how she had built up all of these walls, and that the walls that she had built around her heart
at 5 years old affected all her future relationships.
Exactly. Her marriage, her children, other relationships at work, everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so I remember when Karen Bierman died, her daughter talked about the fact that when we have something traumatic happen, and this was certainly traumatic, parents getting divorced, right, when you're young, that you remain at that age in terms of how you deal with things until you resolve it. And in this case, that would be forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
And she said it didn't matter how the dad responded. She
was doing it for herself.
Right, whether he deserved it or not,
right.
It was something that she needed to do.
Right.
And so to listen to this 15-minute testimony of how powerfully she just was able to forgive and to call him, right, and to say, hey, this is just coming from me, not from anybody else in the family, but this is something I have to do. And now they have a relationship.
Yes.
And it was we're all sitting like at breakfast this morning crying. Lisa, you weren't crying.
No.
Me and Debbie were crying. Lisa's emotionally stable, so she wasn't crying.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't cry.
There was one part when he shared something that almost made me cry.
Almost made. Were you trying to hold back the tears?
No.
Okay. Well, I was crying. Debbie was like sobbing the tears and getting tissues out, getting tissues and napkins out and everything. But yeah, very powerful story. So I think we probably all have people or things in our life where things have happened to us, and as a result of that, we build up walls.
Yes.
And so are you one of those people
Yeah.
that has someone that you need to forgive, or there is something that needs to be dealt with so that those walls can be torn down so that you can live out all of the relationships in your life to the fullest. Lisa, comments or thoughts from you on this?
Well, she also mentioned how once she forgave her father, how her relationships improved with her children and her husband and her friends, and she let people know who she really was instead of like keeping people at a distance. And I think that's so true. When we put up these walls, that's why we put them there, for self-protection and like, oh, I'm not going to let anybody hurt me like that again. And I thought it was very well spoken and very truthful and vulnerable, and it's some good things, especially like for spiritual mentorship and such. That so when this hurt happened and you built this wall, how old were you? Because you still may be stuck in that time, and that's how you're continuing to deal with relationships.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily like a maturity thing, right? I mean, she wasn't acting like a 6-year-old.
Right.
Just to make that clear.
Right.
But some of the things that she had locked in terms of how she was treated by people and how she had to protect herself from those wounds
From that
and that hurt.
moment forward.
Right. You know, so that those kind of things didn't happen again.
Yeah.
That affects how you, as she said, I didn't let people in.
Yeah.
I said, I can be your friend, but I was only going to let you in so far.
Yes.
Right. And so there was a lack of vulnerability, openness, closeness, even in her marriage, she said.
Yes.
And she said, forgiving her father changed everything.
Yeah.
Now she's more vulnerable with her children. They have more open discussions. She's more vulnerable with her husband. Her husband is more open and vulnerable with her. So you can see how one thing in life, right, can have such a tremendous impact on us and on the people in and around our lives. And it sounds crazy, but you and I both know that this is true, right?
Yes.
We have things in our own lives, right?
Yes.
Where we've had to overcome this.
Yes.
And so we want to encourage you to do exactly the same thing.
Yes.
And so if you need help with that, if you want to reach out to one of us or to a spiritual director or to someone you trust, and how about Jesus? Reach out to Jesus and talk to him about it so that he can give you the guidance you need because he can tear down the walls.
Absolutely.
Now, she didn't mention Jesus in her witness talk.
Right.
But boy, it sure sounded like he had something.
Right. Well, I think
with
she
it.
mentioned that something kept. When she reached out to her dad, it kept nagging her. Like part of it was like she felt a voice tell her, "Oh, you need to reach out to him," but she also heard another voice say no. And so, but the voice just said, "You need to reach out to him. You need to reach out to him."
And so she quickly did it before she changed her mind.
Right. Yes.
She crossed the chicken line.
Yes.
That's what I thought when she was actually
Yeah.
actually saying it, but a different kind of chicken line, right? Because it's. And I think something else we heard in the class that we've been taking is it's more work to hold on to something than it is to forgive or to deal with something.
Yes, absolutely.
They said it was the same amount of work. I would actually say it's more work because it's like an ongoing avoidance for the rest of your life.
You gotta, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's something you're avoiding in your life that you need to deal with. And we're just going to encourage you to begin to do that and to invite Jesus into that in a real way. In the class today, too, I was talking about a woman who talked about how she had expressed a truth of the church to one of her family members, and now her family member's not talking to her. And I am sure we can all relate to this, right? And now, like, even though she tries to contact this person, they don't respond.
Yeah.
And so she prays for them, does acts of sacrifice, and sometimes that's all we can do.
Yes.
And I think oftentimes figuring out what's prudent to say or not to say can be very difficult.
Yes.
And I shared with her, like with my son, I don't need to say anything to my son because he already knows. He knows how I feel and where I am on everything. And my job is to just love him. And that's what I told this person that I was talking to is that, hey, you said what you had to say. And, just keep praying for them. And there will be that opportunity for you, to love them in a real way, right? Praying for them is loving them. But hopefully there'll be that reconnection. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because we did activation in class where it was like, okay, ask Jesus who you might have wronged and or who may have wronged you. And I didn't really get it. I didn't get anyone that came to me. But the third question was, what is Jesus calling you to do? And I got that, like, just love them. And so I think that kind of affirms what you just shared as well.
Yeah, so who do you need to just love? Who are you trying to maybe force something onto? And it's actually creating dissonance and separation and division in your relationship with them. And maybe it already has completely. And so now there's going to be some time for repair, right? Which sometimes you just need time in order for that to happen. And that was the case with the person that I was talking to. They were in that period of just time. So our job is to truly just love. Jesus loves us, and he gives us the free will to do what we want to do. And he asks us to do the same thing for the people in our lives. And I don't think it's being dismissive or not carrying out what it is that God is calling us to do, right? I mean, like I said, my son knows what me and Debbie think.
Yeah.
So I don't need to tell him. I told him all his life, right? At this point, it's non-productive. My job is to love him, to be the best dad I can be, and to let him and God figure out the rest.
Right.
And sometimes that can be really hard when you have someone who's fallen away from the church.
Right.
And because you want so much for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? There was plenty of times where I've denied God and where I wasn't where I needed to be, and I have to figure it out. Right? God's going to continue to place people in the lives of these people that we are praying for and that we love and we're concerned about. And we can do what we can do. And then honestly, we just need to leave the rest between them and God.
Right.
Because he's going to work inside their free will. And God doesn't force us, and we can't force them. Any other thoughts, Lisa?
No.
All right. Well, I am Deacon Dave.
I am layperson Lisa.
See you next time.
Bye.